Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed?
Can I make my site softer?
Can I make my site firmer?
Can we sleep cooler?
Sleep Number does that. Cools up to 8 times faster and lets you choose your ideal comfort on either side. Your Sleep Number setting. Enjoy personalized comfort for better sleep night after night. It's our Black Friday sale. Recharge this season with a bundle of cozy, soothing comfort. Now only $17.99 for our C2 mattress and base, plus free premium delivery. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. Check it out at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com today.
Now, the Hunt Palmer Show.
Yes! I feel like I've been waiting for this my entire life.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Jolly good fun. Jolly good.
Locking down the middle of the day.
America's favorite daytime fun show.
Live from the Raising Cane's studio. This is Hunt Palmer.
Welcome in. Hunt Palmer coming to you from the Raising Cane's studio downtown in the capital city on this Monday. Hope your short work week's off to a good start. Appreciate you hanging out with us here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. Got Jordan Kitchens, Cassie Spazzali back there on the ones and twos. Plenty to do today. Saints lose. They're working out kickers. We got to talk about that. Weekend in the Southeastern Conference. LSU played Western Kentucky in what was potentially the ugliest football game I've ever watched in that stadium. And we'll talk about that as well. Plus, Lane Kiffin is at the microphone right now, and we're going to do some of that. Jordan, I may need you to help me today. I'm not doing so well. I hit 610 golf shots yesterday.
Yeah, that's...
None of them went in the hole.
That might be 600 more I've ever done in my life. So that's...
It was really fun. I enjoyed it. I had a great time at Swing Easy Golf Club, but I am so sore. It is a real problem. Chest, arms, back, even my legs.
Nothing is worse than back soreness.
It was like 4 hours of just constant golf shots, and none of them went in.
Well, was there like a point in time where you're kind of close? Where you
I hit the pin 4 times.
Oh, okay.
4 times.
Okay.
Somebody, it's on the YouTube stream's still up there. Somebody clipped out my closest one when I dove on the ground, and
so you was like, oh, this the one.
I mean, it was in the hole. It hit the pin. It rattled around and bounced out.
Heartbreak City. 4
hours of golf shot hitting yesterday. So we're going to try to power through this show through extreme fatigue and soreness. But I think we can do it. So we'll start it with our Genesis opening drive.
It's time for Hunt's opening drive, presented by Genesis of Baton Rouge.
As I mentioned, Lane Kiffin is at the microphone right now. I listened to about 15 minutes of his press conference. So let's kind of put all this together. Right after we came off the air on Friday, Keith Carter, Ole Miss's athletic director, issued that statement saying that we'll find out Lane Kiffin's future with Ole Miss coming up after the game. We're focused on the Egg Bowl on Saturday. We'll make that announcement. A bunch of nothing, basically saying we don't have any answers for you after our meeting with Lane Kiffin. Okay. And then we react to that all weekend, and then Lane Kiffin goes to the podium today. Here is my takeaway, and it's essentially closing this case for me personally. It certainly doesn't close it in actuality, but it closes it for me. Lane Kiffin has been asked these questions now for 3 weeks. And again, today, 3 days after, 2 days after, however you want to turn that, the statement that Ole Miss released, he was asked these questions again. I'll give you the kind of variations. He literally I just watched him walk off the set, so certainly we don't have that audio clip. It just happened in Oxford. But this is a paraphrasing of what he just said at the podium. He was asked, hey, you're 2 wins shy of John Vaught for the all-time winningest head coach at Ole Miss. How much does that mean to you? Which is a really creative way of asking if you're going to coach Ole Miss in the playoff. And Kiffin just kind of brushed it aside and said, I didn't really know that. Didn't say anything. Then he was asked, basically, are you going to make a decision about your future with Ole Miss after the game, or has that decision already been made? And Kiffin said, I don't know how many times y'all are going to ask this. It's a perfectly fair question, but I'm not going to answer the question. We've already had 3 of them. And so the Ole Miss media kind of tried. They tossed a few out there in regard to the statement, in regard to his future. Never mentioned Florida or LSU by name, but just kind of trying to probe at that. And Lane Kiffin just shuts the door on it. And he keeps getting the questions, and he keeps getting the questions. And he got them last week as well on the teleconference and said, oh, can't wait for next week. And here's the deal. Like, this is what I come back to. He could stop all these questions. He could stop them. He chooses not to. And he's choosing not to because he's leaving. He's choosing not to answer the questions because he's leaving. He would not field one more question like that if he went up and said, I understand that all this is going on. We're not paying attention to it because I'm staying at Ole Miss. I'm coaching this team in the playoff, and I'll be here next year. He could say that, and then no one would ask any more questions, and he could sign the contract extension. Ross Bjork, that's one AD ago. Keith Carter over at Ole Miss has said on the record that we're trying to get an extension done. That extension is on his desk. He won't sign it because he's leaving. I believe Lane Kiffin is going to be the next head coach at LSU. That's the sentiment from just about everyone that you talk to around Baton Rouge. No one gives you 100%. No one says it's a done deal. But that's just the expectation. And the only thing standing in the way of Lane Kiffin being LSU's next head coach is Lane Kiffin having essentially an epiphany and going, well, we won. We're 11-1. We're the 5 seed hosting a playoff game in Oxford in 3 weeks, and I'm not leaving. But no one expects that to happen because it hasn't happened yet. And every single time Lane Kiffin goes to the microphone, that just becomes more and more evident. Ole Miss has had ample opportunity in press conferences, in releases, in all of those circumstances to make an announcement that Lane Kiffin is staying, and it doesn't happen. And this is quite literally the biggest regular season week in Ole Miss football in 50 years. 50 years. And it's now being destroyed from the inside because Lane Kiffin is going to leave. And it just, I didn't know exactly where the open of my show was going to go today because I did not know what his press conference was going to hold. And he held that press conference at 12:40, 20 minutes before I go on the air. And it literally did not end until 50 seconds into my show. So, I'm just reacting to this live and as I hear it. And it's just very, very obvious what the situation is. The one question that Lane Kiffin did answer today was how much does it mean to you to finish out the season with your team? And he said, I haven't thought of anything else. It means a lot. And I believe him. And I believe that's why we're in the situation that we're in. Because you see coaches leave their team for other jobs before a season ends. That happens every once in a while. It doesn't happen often, but it does happen. He doesn't want to do that. He could. If he's agreed to be the next head coach at LSU and those contractual terms are suitable to him and he knows where he's going to be next, he could come to Baton Rouge. He doesn't want to. He wants to coach the team. He wants to have his cake and eat it too. It's just very obvious at this point based on the non-answers that you get. And the term is the silence is deafening. When you don't answer questions and you leave you leave speculation open, it's going to come rampantly. And so I wasn't sure what today would bring. I didn't figure the heat would get turned up too much today, but you essentially have what you're going to have. I don't think Lane Kiffin meets with the media again this week. He doesn't have to do the coach's teleconference on Wednesday. I'm not sure what Ole Miss's media schedule is beyond that. But today was always going to be a mild press conference because you got a statement on Friday. You can toss a couple at him today. He's going to deflect them as usual. But then the heat is going to go to 1,000 Friday postgame. Friday postgame is going to be the spot where the Ole Miss media holds his feet to the fire. And it would not surprise me if Keith Carter wasn't in front of the media on Friday after that game. You remember with the Les Miles situation back in 2015 when Joe Oliva ended up at the podium after the Texas A&M game in Baton Rouge. Now, this is different. That's a firing, and this is a guy that's leaving. But I could absolutely see a situation where Keith Carter comes to that microphone after Ole Miss beats Mississippi State on Friday. It's a 11 o'clock kickoff. And he goes to the podium and says, look, we're going to be in the playoffs. We're 11-1. We were number 5 in the rankings this week, and we're going to be number 5 or 6 this week. And we're committed to Ole Miss and these players and whatever. But there are going to be significant questions asked, and I think they will be pressed harder. I could see a situation on Friday post-game where the beat writers say, don't you think it's a little bit unreasonable that you are not answering questions about the biggest game in your career coming up in 3 weeks? Like, I think it's going to be a little bit more than like, do you have anything to say? Like, they're going to press, because the longer there's nothing from Lane, the more evidence that something is coming. We know what that something is. And Lane Kiffin's going to be the coach at LSU. It was weird to walk around campus on Saturday with the game, LSU and Western Kentucky, and I'm walking around, and like all you get is questions about Lane Kiffin. Like, that's the entire campus was consumed with this on Saturday, on a game day, on senior night. And the team kind of played like that. I don't blame the performance on that, but it was a fitting effort based on the energy level that was committed into that game on Saturday. And at this point, after another press conference comes and goes, the writing is very much on the wall. And I fully expect this time next week, it's Monday. This time next week, I fully expect that LSU will have named Lane Kiffin as next head coach. That's what I think. I'm not reporting it. I'm hypothesizing and I'm editorializing based on what's in front of my face. It's a guy that won't answer questions about his future because the answers are not acceptable to coaching his team on Friday. So he won't give them. That's where we are with LSU and Lane Kiffin. That's our Genesis opening drive. We will step aside, come back, and talk about some actual football. We'll do that next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
One Bath and Closets. OneBathAndClosets.com is the website. David Duvall and his team, 30 years redesigning and remodeling bathrooms and closets. Saw on Facebook earlier today, Michelle Southern, who hosts our afternoon drive on Eagle 98.1, had a bathroom customized in her house over the last month. And David Duvall and One Bath and Closets were on the job. She posted the finished pictures today. Just a spotless and gorgeous renovation of a bathroom in the Southern home. You can do that for yourself. Call David Duvall, schedule that consultation, tell him what you're looking for. He'll go through the design process for you, and I can promise you this, David and his team will do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. It's not one of those deals where they take your job, take your check, make sure they get through it as quickly as possible to get to the next job. That's just not how they work at One Bath and Closets. They do it right the first time and leave the competition behind. They won't be coming back 6 weeks later to touch up something they got through quickly. It'll be done right the first time. That's their promise to you at One Bath and Closets. Check them out online, onebathandclosets.com.
You're listening to The Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
So LSU played a football game on Saturday night. If a game happens and nobody's there to watch it, did it really happen? That's the tree falling in the woods deal?
Well, unfortunately, I spent, 3 hours watching it, so somebody's got to pay for this.
I mean, I'm serious about this. I had to go back this morning and rewatch the highlights to jog my memory on what I even watched on Saturday. It was like a boring malaise. I couldn't remember anything. I was like, I think a bunch of guys got hurt. There was nobody there. I didn't remember like any of the plays. It was so boring. It was criminal.
Well, the highlight of the game came at the very end when you get Kenzel Kelly. Free my boy BK, free him. And then Harlan Berry gets stripped for a fumble.
I didn't realize that had happened because I'm obviously in the press box in the stadium, but it was the television copy that had the long-lived BK and then a 70-yard fumble return for a touchdown. So, yeah, that was tough. But look, the offense was awful, and that's the biggest storyline from the game. The defense obviously showed up for work, and they put it in. Look, you had Western Kentucky go down the field on their first drive, 9 plays, 57 yards, and kick that field goal. And then after that, Western Kentucky went punt, turnover on downs, punt, kneel out the half, punt, interception, punt, turnover on downs.
Yep.
It was good. Good work from the defense. Now, you got a little help. Western Kentucky threw a throwback pass to the quarterback who would have walked into the end zone. He dropped it. But that happens sometimes. The defense, other than that, was excellent in the game against Western Kentucky. I thought the pass defense was great, even without Mansour Delane. Thought you saw really good work from P.J. Woodland, from D.J. Pickett. I thought you saw great work from Deshaun Spears at times. The safeties were good. It's a high efficiency Western Kentucky passing game, and LSU did a good job to stop it. But ultimately, I expect your defense to go out there against a Sun Belt team and shut them down. And LSU did. Credit to them. I expect your offense to go move the ball, and LSU just didn't. punt, interception, turnover on downs. Then you had the touchdown drive. Punt, field goal, punt, turnover on downs, and a fumble. Like, it was just bad. You were awful on third down. Your percentage on third down for the game was 3 out of 16 against a Sun Belt defense that gave up 307 rushing yards to Toledo and over 200 to 3 other teams. Yet LSU could not run the ball and then did not try to run the ball. This is a stat. I got to credit Brian Haldane, who's our producer on the LSU Sports Radio Network and hosts mornings on Talk 107.3 here, and credit Hester, who also forwarded it to me. And then I went back and checked it, and it was absolutely correct. From the second snap of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, LSU, with a lead against Western Kentucky, snapped the ball 20 times between handoffs to a tailback against a team that is 11th out of 12 in Conference USA. I think I've been saying Sun Belt. 11th out of 12 in Conference USA in rushing defense. And you went 20 snaps without handing the ball to a running back. Like, that's inconceivable to me. Like, I understand that LSU's offensive line is, 1, not very good, and 2, very hurt. Tyree Adams got hurt. Braylon Moore got hurt. Ori Williams got hurt. Like, I get it. And I get that you may think that running the ball is the second most efficient way for you to go score, that you're a better passing team. But you've got to hand the ball off some. And somehow along the line, over the course of the last 2 years, LSU has just abandoned the run. I know they're not good at it, but you can't abandon it even if you're not good at it. It's criminal for LSU for a second consecutive season to finish the year dead last in the SEC in rushing attempts. And again, you were playing against an awful Conference USA rushing defense, and you handed the ball off or let Van Buren run it 37 times for 3.4 yards per carry. You threw it a season high 42 times. You didn't even do that efficiently. That was 60%, a touchdown and a pick. There's an issue with execution for LSU on offense. There's no doubt about that. Wilson Alexander and Scott Ravelet have a stat that since the division split and they formed Division I, this is likely going to be the first time in LSU history that LSU does not crack 26 points against an FBS/Division I team. First time in history that they don't score 26 in a single game against its level of competition. You had Louisiana Tech on the schedule. You had Western Kentucky on the schedule. Could not crack 25 points in those games. And I know that you're not good at running it, but you got to run the ball. And then you've got, Michael Van Buren, who, threw the kind of bad interception that he just kind of stared it down and threw it right to that linebacker, but it just was inaccurate. And that's the stuff that we saw a lot of in August. We saw a lot of inaccuracy in erratic play from Michael Van Buren. Some good, some explosive, some dynamic, a lot of erratic. And that's the guy that you saw in the game on Saturday night. Now, he was under pressure a little bit, but there were times where he did have time to throw, and it just wasn't there. And I'll say this is more of like a big picture season point as opposed to breaking down LSU and Western Kentucky, which isn't the most exciting thing ever when it's a 13-10 game. But I got to the point now where our eyes did not really lie in any of the Augusts of Brian Kelly's time. And with all that access, we got all that information, and mostly it was right. Yes, I was dead wrong about Chris Hilton. I said Chris Hilton would have 1,000 yards receiving. He has 51. So I didn't get that right. But we didn't think this offensive line was very good, and it's not. We didn't think this offense was moving the ball very much, and it didn't. And we thought the defense looked pretty damn good, and the defense is pretty damn good. It's not elite. It's not championship. It's not awesome, but it's pretty damn good. And I now have that confidence to go out there and – because like 2 years ago, we saw the offense running up and down the field and the defense never stopping. I'm like, this is kind of one-sided. And then last year, I was like, I'm not sure I like LSU's defensive back play, and USC torched them. Unfortunately, that confidence that I'm armed with, having watched this team play in August, and then kind of prognosticating what we see, I'm not going to get that level of access anymore because if Lane Kiffin comes here, and I do think he's coming here, Lane Kiffin lets you come in, watch him stretch, and you're out of there. Brian Kelly was giving us whole practices. Brian Kelly was giving us scrimmages. Lane Kiffin's like, yeah, you can watch him run around cones. If you want to take roll, you can, then get out. And that's probably what we're going to get. It is what it is. The coaches are under no obligation to let the media sit there and watch practice. But BK was going to do it, and he did. And we knew a lot of stuff about this team. And I feel like August is optimism season. We know that. We know that August is a time for everyone to feel like they've got a chance to do something really special. And if you want to blame the media for overinflating LSU, I have no issue with you doing that at all. I think most of us picked LSU 11-1, 10-2, at the bottom 9-3, and they very well could be 7-5. So if you want to say we did a terrible job, I don't have any issue with that at all. But I was gravely concerned about the offensive line. I thought the offensive line could derail things, and the offensive line has been a big issue, and the offense as a whole hasn't functioned in part due to that. And Frank Wilson went to the podium today, talked about the injuries on the offensive line, didn't sound super optimistic about any of it. Braylon Moore and Ori Williams got hurt on Saturday. Doesn't sound like they're going to play in the game coming up on Saturday in Oklahoma. Tyree Adams had the tightrope surgery a couple weeks ago. He is probably on track for the bowl game, he said. So you're not going to have your starting left tackle. You're not going to have your center in this game against one of the best defensive fronts in the country in Oklahoma. They lead the country in sacks and lead the country in tackles for loss. And you're not going to have Braylon Moore or Tyree Adams in the game. Doesn't sound like Ori Williams is going to go either. Ori Williams got hurt in the game on Saturday. You're shuffling guys in and out, left and right. You're moving guys from right tackle to left, in and out of the lineup. They're patchworking this offensive line any way we can, partly due to poor play, partly due to injury, and it never really gets significantly better. And Western Kentucky has been a sieve defensively up front, and LSU just could not create gashes, could not create big plays. Harlan Berry had one 25-yard run. Michael Van Buren got loose for a 16-yard run. I mean, Caden Durham's long run in 6 carries was 6 yards. They just don't function the offense very well, and you put yourself in long third downs. Michael Van Buren was not comfortable in those long third downs, and therefore you were putrid on offense. Like, big hat tip to the defense. They swarmed around and got 5 sacks. It was really cool to see all 3 Weeks brothers on the field at one time. That's something I know that they wanted to do. They desperately wanted to make that happen, and they did. Witt came out of the game after that and put the boot back on, but he was able to go out there for 1-2 series and play with his brothers. It was good to see LSU's defensive backs go out there without Mansour Delane and play very well. It's cool to see them get a couple of interceptions, get your hands on some balls. I thought pass rush was pretty good. Like, it was a good effort on defense, but I can't in good conscience lead with the defense today when you're playing a team from Conference USA. It's just not. I can't go and praise your defense for a Saturday night when you're playing against a team that's that outmatched. You've got the story from last night or from Saturday night was the fact that the offense just didn't do almost anything in the game. And that's just really, really disappointed that you put that many resources into that side of the football. And it's a bottom half of the SEC unit in just about everything outside of like pass attempts. That's the only thing you do toward the top of the league is throw it a lot. Not well, a lot. And it's a bummer. And you're going to go through essentially the most anemic offensive season in LSU football history without scoring over 25 points against a power conference team, a Division I team. It's nuts to see that happen. All right, that's a look at LSU and Western Kentucky. We'll shift gears over to the New Orleans Saints. We'll talk about the game against the Falcons yesterday, but also want to talk about the kicker situation as a bigger picture because they're doing some workouts, which they should be doing. We'll talk about all that when we come back.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Genesis of Baton Rouge. GenesisofBatonRouge.com is the website. Every car that is on the lot is online at GenesisofBatonRouge.com. When you think luxury vehicle, there are probably some brands that come to mind that may have been around a little bit longer than Genesis. Genesis should come to mind as well. And when I say luxury, don't immediately price yourself out. Go give them a look. They're on airline at PQ. It's a great time to get by and get a vehicle. The GV80 is my recommendation. It's the one I like the best on their line. It's their midsize SUV. I think it's awesome for small families. That fits your current situation. Go by and see them. You may not be in car buying mode today, but maybe you are in 2026 when a lease comes up. Maybe you are in the next 2 years. Just keep Genesis in mind as someone you'd like to go try. You can go see them at Airline and Piku. You can check out the entire inventory online at genesisofbatonrouge.com. It's Genesis of Baton Rouge.
This is the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Some SEC football coming up 30 minutes from now. I'll get you the results from my picks from Friday. We'll talk with Denton Day, SiriusXM's college football overtime at the bottom of hour number 2. So 1 hour from now, we'll have Denton on. Still plenty to get to, though, here on this Monday. Hope your work week's off to a good start. Short work week for just about everybody this week. So hopefully you're planning on some good family time, some time away from the office. But thanks for getting things started this week with us. Banner offensive weekend in South Louisiana for the Tigers and the Saints, huh? Saints play Atlanta in what looked to be a pretty fired up Superdome early on in that game. The offense just never showed up. Never showed up. Thought the defense was okay. Not great, but okay. Gave up 24 points. Did a decent job on Bijan Robinson other than one run. But the offense just no-shows. You have a pick six, and that's all you have to show offensively. One field goal. And it's a miracle Groupie made that one. We'll talk about that more. But you got down in the red zone 3 times. You can't score a touchdown. You get down there inside the 5. It's disjointed, and there's Taysom involved, and you're throwing the ball. It's just awful, awful execution down there inside the 5-yard line for an NFL football team. And it's disheartening, truly, to come out of a bye week at home against a team that Bryce Young has torched and just have nothing. And I have low expectations for this Saints team, this roster, this year, week to week. I picked the Falcons to win on Friday because I didn't think that I was going to count on the Saints to go out there and play 2 really good football games in a row. That's a lot for me to ask. But even though my expectations are very low, when you come out of a bye, I need you healthy and I need you to have some things that look really good and really efficient. And the Saints had none of that on Sunday. The Falcons are a garden variety NFL defense. And for your offensive-minded head coach to come out of a bye week and produce 3 points on offense is concerning. It's not disqualifying from the job. It doesn't destroy the future of the organization in this era of Saints footballs. But it's his first time to come out of a bye week, and that's disheartening to have that product on the field. When I look at the Saints rushing numbers, and it's disgraceful. Kamara before he got hurt, 3 carries for 11 yards. Okay. Taysom Hill, 10 carries for 17 yards. Taysom hasn't done anything all year. And they continue to give him the ball and feature him game in and game out, and it hasn't worked. 10 carries in this game led the team, and he was averaging 1.7 a carry. Now, I realize you get the snap over his head. That hurts the yardage total. But still, it's not as if he was getting a bunch of chunk plays. His long run of the day was 4 yards. Devin Neal actually did run the ball effectively when you got down to the red zone, and then you abandoned him on that drive. Tyler Shuck led the Saints in rushing on Sunday. 7 carries for 22 yards. That's the tops. It's going to be tough to win an NFL football game when your marginally athletic quarterback is leading you with 22 rushing yards. That's just a non-starter. So I thought Shuck did a couple of decent things. Throwing the ball, the pick, okay. But the running game's non-existent. The offensive line's not good enough. The game plan and the execution of that game plan were substandard coming out of a bye week, and the result is you only score 3 offensive points. Defense was okay. I mean, Cousins is washed, but defense was okay. I could live with 24 points, but the offense just no-showed. And that brings us to the next portion of this. It is 1:34 p.m. on Monday, and Blake Grupe is still under contract with the New Orleans Saints. Someone tell me why.
Don't worry, I'm working on it.
He leads the NFL, 8 misses, and if you want to miss a couple of 57-yarders, I will briefly look the other way. You start missing kicks from under 40, no. I got to have somebody else. Get somebody else. Charlie Smith, fine. go to the waiver wire, fine. There's no excuse in having Blake Grupe go out there and miss a kick nearly every week. We are not even through November yet. He has 8 misses. 8. Sometimes a kicker has a bad day. You miss 3 kicks in the game. You lose the game by 6. Like, that's a tough day for a kicker. Okay, that's a tough Sunday. This is every game. Every game he misses a kick. He missed 2. No shot. I would keep it. You've got to go get another kicker. Now, let's pivot to what does that mean, go get another kicker? Well, the Saints are currently having some tryouts at kicker. Cade York is one of the kickers they're trying out. Former LSU Tiger, mid-round pick, Cleveland Browns. It's been a rough go in the NFL for Cade York. But I'm open to trying him out. He's obviously a big-time talent. What I'm not open to is signing Justin Tucker. No. I'm reading Ross Jackson's tweet here. He covers the Saints, Locked On Saints, and certainly over at LouisianaSports.net. Justin Tucker was reinstated on November 11th after serving a 10-game suspension tied to allegations from 16 massage therapists of sexually inappropriate behavior during massage sessions taking place between 2012 and 2016. Tucker denied the claims. He did not appeal the suspension. The Saints have 2 wins. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL. They are going nowhere in a hurry this year. There's a court of law for a reason, and the NFL has rules that you abide by, and I'm not here to convict nor vindicate Justin Tucker on these charges. That's not really my concern right here, right now. It's overwhelming. 16 massage therapists is overwhelming, but I'm not here to litigate that at all. What I'm telling you is there's no need to bring in a 36-year-old kicker who just came off his worst year in the NFL, who has this kind of baggage into the locker room for the final 2 months of the season. There's no reason to do that. Every move that you make as an organization should have some eyes on the future. I would argue bringing in a kicker who is well past his prime for a wasted season is not. I'm not even talking about the fact that he's got trouble off the field. That's just not productive. Give Charlie Smith a try. He's young. He might be your kicker for 10 years. Well, who cares who kicks for you this coming week? That doesn't matter. Whether you win or lose doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of the organization. Find a young guy you might be able to cling to. I'm okay if you sign a new young kicker every week until you find one you like. Kick one this week, kick one the next week. Go sign a third one the next week until you find a kicker that is young that you feel like could be your kicker of the future. Now, I realize that there's somebody in black and gold who would say, well, we have a young kicker. It's Blake Grupe. Like, that's the guy that could be our kicker of the future. Wrong answer. He's not. He may catch on somewhere else. He may pull a Baker Mayfield and be awful at the place that drafted him and then go on to play in a Pro Bowl. But, like, you got to look elsewhere at this point and not Justin Tucker. There's like 5 reasons not to sign Justin Tucker. We could have a full discussion about this if the Saints were 10-2 right now and on the verge of a Super Bowl. I had the Chicago Cubs. Y'all know I'm a Cubs fan. They traded for Aroldis Chapman in 2016. The guy had just shot up a garage with his pregnant girlfriend inside. Like, that's not a great move. But he was a really good pitcher. So when he got out there on the mound and he had the Cubs jersey on, like, you just grit your teeth and you pull for the team. Because the league didn't suspend him. He's not in trouble by a court of law. Like, he's good to play. And that's just an example for me personally. And if the Saints are on the verge of playing for a Super Bowl, we'll discuss whether or not a guy who has served his NFL suspension should be on this team or not. And there would be some that say, I absolutely do not want him. And there would be some that say, yes, he did that. He got his suspension. He's served his suspension. He's eligible to play. We're trying to win. Put him out there. And neither one of those sides, to me, is right or wrong. It's just a matter of opinion. But as we sit here right now, and the New Orleans Saints are a team that's going nowhere, how about you try to do something productive for the future of the organization and bring in a young kicker, or let Charlie Smith, who's already in the building, go out there and do this? I do not understand the Justin Tucker thing. he was a mediocre kicker last year. Yeah, at one point he was potentially the greatest kicker in the history of the NFL. That was 5 years ago. It's not now. Sign someone new. Sign someone young. And find a kicker. Quarterback's tough. Left tackle's tough. Edge rusher, that's tough. True number one wide receiver, these are tough to find. Kicker, you can generally find one. And the Saints need to do that because watching Blake Grupe go out there week after week after week and fail is something that you can do without. And I think the Saints need to make that happen with a quickness. All right, you've heard my thoughts on the black and gold, Mr. Jordan. You have any thoughts on any of those?
Man, I'm thoroughly disappointed because you would think that the offensive mind that Kellen Moore, quote unquote, is and was, that there would be more creativity with the offense, or, maybe have a goal line package of any sort.
Those red zone.
I mean, Hunt, everybody
sequences were just atrocious.
Atrocious. Everybody and their mama knows if Taysom Hill's in the game, somewhere or another, he's going to do something with the ball. It's not rocket science. They're still using the same plays Sean Payton was running in 2018, 2019 before COVID. That's a problem. So, a lot of people don't judge a head coach on his first year and all that. At this rate, I'm kind of have to judge Kellen Moore because, again, you come out of the bye week flat at home, dome is rocking, you come out flat, and the offense look like they haven't practiced all year. I hadn't planned to do this, but I just clicked on it, and it absolutely validates my point. This is Taysom Hill's game log, game over game this year. Okay.
Giants, 6 carries, -1 yard, a long of 2.
Wow.
New England, 1 carry, 1 yard.
Of course.
The Bears, 2 carries, -4 yards.
Remember that one.
The Bucks, 2 carries, 6 yards. Both were 3 yards.
Season high.
The Rams, 4 carries for 30 yards. He had a 29-yarder. So the other 3 went for 1. So you've got 1 run on the season so far. Carolina, 7 carries for 20 yards, long of 5. That's 2.9 yards per carry. And then on Sunday, 10 carries for 17 yards with a long of 4.
10 carries.
What have we seen over the course? That's 7 games. There's 1 carry that's positive, yet we're force-feeding 36-year-old Taysom Hill. That never works. Why are you doing this? It never works. It worked 5 years ago.
Yes.
It never works. I don't know why this is a focal point of the offense. He led the team in carries.
And you take out.
How about Devin Neal, who went right down the field at one point?
Thank you. I was just about to say that. You take out Devin Neal, who was cooking on a drive, and put in Taysom Hill. I get it. Alvin Kamara was hurt. But come on, Kellen. You put him. Are you supposed to be the genius? You're supposed to be the genius. So I'm just disgusted, especially because all week I was, we're going to shuck him. We're going to do all this. And, we got shucked.
Did not happen. Did not happen. Saints lose to Dirty Birds. They fall to 2-9 on the season. Is that right?
Hey, 2 and a lot.
2-9 on the season. So we'll see. Schedule theoretically lightens up as you move forward. But it was not a good Sunday in the Dome for the Black and Gold. They'll travel to Miami coming up this week. Back-to-back road games, Miami and Tampa. Back-to-back road trips to the state of Florida before you come home for some winnable games against the Panthers and the Jets. So we'll see. But that was a bummer. And fittingly, the ESPN.com picture of the Saints game is Grupe putting his head in his hands after yet another field goal miss. Sign someone else to kick. Come back and close out hour number 1 next.
The Hunt Palmer Show.
Highland Insurance Group, HighlandIG.com is that website. Jonathan Carbo and his team, just phenomenal folks to work with in the insurance game. A lot of folks have it January 1st renewals. The time is short, but you still got enough time. If you want to get a second look at your renewal, maybe get a second set of eyeballs, another option, the Highland Insurance Group will be happy to help you out with that. They'd love to audit your current policy, see what you've got, and what they may be able to do to better your insurance program. And they have dozens of contracted markets, so they can make sure to shop for the right price for your business as well. So give them a call at the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online, HighlandIG.com. They're based here in Baton Rouge. They can help you out statewide and get you a quote that doesn't cost a thing. It's the Highland Insurance Group. Find them online at HighlandIG.com.
You're listening to the Hunt Palmer Show on 104.5 ESPN, Baton Rouge.
Prior to my hitting 610 golf shots yesterday, I had to get my LouisianaSports.net story of the day written, and I always on Sunday go back and look at the Pro Football Focus grades for LSU and put the top 5 grades and the bottom 5 grades up and put some brief comments about them. So did that yesterday morning, and in the process of doing so, I came across a circumstance that has not happened in 2 years of the website. All 5 of the highest graded players were on the defensive side of the ball, and all 5 of the lowest graded players were on the offensive side of the ball. That has never happened. And it happened on Saturday. And it's not surprising because LSU's defense only allowed 3 points in the game, and LSU's offense only accounted for 1 touchdown. But the offense for Pro Football Focus's grades did not have a single player grade a 70 or higher. None. How many players were there? 20 guys played offense for LSU on Saturday night, and not one of them graded a 70. Now, say what you will about Pro Football Focus. We do this all the time, but it's like, is it the gospel? No. But, like, that is pretty telling. The highest graded player on LSU's offense for Pro Football Focus on Saturday was Weston Davis. Weston Davis graded a 69.6. Now, credit to Weston Davis, who played 74 snaps at right tackle in the game. His pass blocking grade was an 85.6. That is far and away his best effort as an LSU Tiger. But an indictment on the entirety of the offense that everyone that you had dressed out that played in the game on Saturday graded under a 70. I looked at the number for Michael Van Buren. He was the second lowest graded player on LSU's offense at a 50.7. It made me think of something on Saturday. We were in the stadium. And I'm not trying to, like, hammer Michael Van Buren here. That's not the point of this segment at all. I think he does some good things. I think he did some really good things against Arkansas to win that game late. But there is no more popular player than the backup quarterback ever. And it's so evident. Like, everyone was so ready for Michael Van Buren 2 weeks ago. And then 2 weeks in, you're kind of like, oh, he's not, like, way better than Garrett Nussmeier. And it's the same thing we saw 2 years ago after Jaden Daniels didn't lead LSU to a win over Florida State. And everybody's going, it's time to put Nussmeier in. Remember the SC championship game? Like, at least he'll throw the ball down the field. Like, you got to put. And then Jaden Daniels won the Heisman Trophy. And this year, everyone's saying, well, Nussmeier can't run. You got to get him out of there. Get Van Buren in. And I said and wrote, like, I think I would play Van Buren the rest of the way because Nussmeier's just really fighting it a little bit. But I never suggested that Nussmeier was, like, bad or was bad. Like, and that's some of the stuff you hear is that, oh, well, Van Buren's clearly the option. It's like, well, look, these guys watch practice. These coaches watch practice. They're aware of who the best players on the team are. And I'm not here to suggest that there's never been a player on the bench that probably deserved more time. Like, that, of course, happens anywhere. But they're not going to make just a gross miscalculation with the quarterback. And it was a time for me on Saturday night to step back and go, 2 years ago, everybody wanted to bench Daniels. This year, everybody wants to bench Nussmeier. Like, when teams aren't winning, everyone is just scrambling frantically to find someone to pin that on. You got to blame somebody. And sometimes it's just a little bit of a forced effort. Michael Van Buren may have a really bright future ahead of him. He might play great this coming weekend and beat Oklahoma on the road. He's got some ability. He threw it around last year against Georgia, and he had a great fourth quarter against Arkansas last week. But, again, you saw some of the issues that we saw in August on Saturday where he's a little bit erratic and not the most accurate passer. Now, for looking at Pro Football Focus grades, the defense was awesome. Highest graded player, 21 snaps, Jakeem Jackson, who played a good bit with Mansour laying out. Deshaun Spears, who has really made the most of his limited snaps this year, was a 77.9. He was a 78.4 in coverage. Really good work covering. He had the 2 picks against Florida, one for a pick 6. Had a big sack in this game. Like, he's been pretty good this year, playing behind A.J. Halsey and to Marcus Cooley, and hopefully you can keep him around and put him on the field next year because I think he's done a good job. I love to see DJ Pickett's grades. He graded a 75.1, had an interception in the game. Of course, had the sack where he came off the edge. His coverage score was 73.5. That's very good. Jamari Butler had 2 sacks. His grade was high. AJ Halsey almost always grades high, 72.6. But, like, the defense had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys over 70. The offense had none. And you're not a balanced team. You're a team that is dominated by the defense that doesn't have the offense to come help it along the way. And the defense struggled at Vanderbilt. The defense struggled in Oxford. The defense struggled against Texas A&M. There's no doubt. It's not a flawless group. But they're not getting the help they need from the offense. And that doesn't matter who's under center, which offensive line rotation they're working on, who's split out at wide receiver. Like, it's just an offense that couldn't find its way this year. And that's a bummer. And I got bad news. I wrote a statistically speaking piece on LouisianaSports.net earlier today, and I have all the statistics for Oklahoma's defense in there and where they rank nationally. It is not a real comfortable read. So if you're about to hit the road for Thanksgiving travel, you're looking for something to read to kill some time, I don't know that going to LouisianaSports.net and reading my statistically speaking piece is going to make you feel a lot better. You can do it. I'd appreciate it. I put some work into it this morning. It's got a lot of information in it. It's not super comforting for this LSU offense to go on the road and face the defense they're about to see on Saturday. We'll see. That's it for hour number 1 here on this Monday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Opened with my thoughts on Lane Kiffin's press conference today. I think we are just days away from him taking the LSU job. We'll see. But I gave my thoughts on his press conference today, as well as the statement Keith Carter put out on Friday before, right after we came off the air. Missed that? You can find it at Hunt on LSU. Talked about the Saints, their loss yesterday, Blake Groupie status, all that. You can find it at Hunt on Saints. Read Ross Jackson stuff over at LouisianaSports.net as well. We'll pause for Sports Center. We'll come back after national headlines. You'll get my SEC picks against the spread. 1 week to go. See how we do. It's Hunt Palmer Show.
The Hunt Palmer Show.